We are live now with IBP News on YouTube live stream. So we start now. Welcome CMA Sadanand Sahasrabudhe ji to IBP News YouTube live stream. And it's such wonderful having you here, a professional with so much of vast experience. And today I'm going to be questioning all the commoners, have the questions and doubts with you to clarify more information about what you do as a professional. So I to start with.
Thanks a lot, Chaitali, having given me a chance to interact with you and through the medium of IBB News, so that I can share my views about what I do, how it helps the individuals and the corporates for their own benefit. I can really candidly put my views across and get more and more people more knowledgeable about the things that they need to do in their day-to-day life. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. So I start with questioning you now. Sadanand ji, you have been an engineer, a cost accountant, and a CFA professional. So when did you decide to, become an energy audit professional and a fire protection person and a specialist in this field?
Okay, there are 2-3 aspects to it. One very important aspect is when you learn engineering, automatically you learn to do things on a frugal budget, number one. And add to it the cost accountancy, which I have practiced for almost 25 plus years in my working career. It always focuses you on the end result, which is a profit for a corporate.
Right.
So energy is a subject, number one, which is common to all the industries in smaller or a higher or a bigger proportion, but it is common to all, number one. Number two, energy majorly by the government. Correct. So there is not much of a financial that you can do there unless you show a real improvement. And both fire as well as energy, because fire also is a form of an energy, are important for saving lives, increasing profitability for entire mankind or entire universe, I would say. Energy in any which form can be destructive. So what we help in this particular field is we help you to channelize that energy, specific energy, which could be fire, which could be electricity, which could be fuel, to its positive use so that it costs you less, it harms you less, and the resultant thing is either your profits are protected because one single fire can wipe out your year's accumulated profit, or your profitability is improved because any reduction in the energy cost can bring more revenue, more cash flow to your bottom line, leading to healthier profits when compared to it before. So this was something that kind of attracted me. It's an ever evolving field. Again, there are regulations in this field which require you to do it. So there are two things that have come together. One is inclination and intention to do something good for the industries, backed by the government regulations that compel you to do things.
Wow, it was so clearly explained, very well explained in brief. So nice. Thank you. My next question would be what is fire protection? Can you tell us a little in detail, because as laymen, not being in the same field, we are unaware of.
Okay, generally fire protection is a larger category. Fire protection has two sub-verticals. One is called as fire detection or fire alarm system, and second is called as fire suppression. What fire detection or fire alarm system does is it tells you that the fire is taking place. It does not directly douse the fire. Fire suppression system douses the fire. The fire dousing could happen either through water sprinklers or through carbon dioxide flooding or nitrogen flooding based on the industry, the raw material and other products that the industry uses. So it depends on that, but this is a fundamental principle. Extinguishers, etc. are being used regularly, but they are helpful in smaller fires. For bigger fires, you need sprinkler systems, you need carbon dioxide or nitrogen flooding or foam flooding kind of a thing.
Depending what kind of
depending
fire.
On the kind of industry, the kind of product, the kind of fire. Currently,
and the hazard around it.
Absolutely. Currently, we are working with a company, a Switzerland-based company, for their industrial unit in Navi Mumbai. They produce a product which does not easily catch fire up to 600 degrees, but if by mistake water is sprinkled on that, that product turns into stone and it's useless.
Oh,
Now, as per the fire requirements of the industry and the norm, the fire detection and fire separation system is a must for them.
yes.
Keeping in mind that fire does not put you, or rather, a major fire can put you out of business overnight.
Absolutely.
Number one. Number two, generally, what we say is in case of fire, we have extinguishers. They're not useful for bigger fires. We say that last 10 years I have never had a fire. But you never know, on the 11th day, in the 11th year, you
Absolutely.
can catch a fire, your company can catch a fire. And thirdly, people always say that we have, fire insurance. Now, insurance comes into picture only after the peril strikes you.
Absolutely.
Insurance does not stop a calamity from happening. Insurance only softens the financial blow coming out of the calamity. So what we are offering under fire protection is something which is pre-insurance. We are stopping any fire from attaining a major proportion. That
So
is
you're
what we do
nipping
in
the
fire
problem in
protection.
the
In the
bud.
bud. Absolutely.
Great. So the systems that you're talking about are not just the fire sprinkler systems that we see nowadays installed, or the extinguishers, or earlier like we would see sand in buckets.
Sand buckets.
Okay. That's quite a detailed information, and yes, it is. Calamity can strike anyone, and also a force majeure can stop anyone.
Yeah, and it comes unannounced.
Absolutely.
So it's always better to be prepared for the worst and hope for the best.
Great. Okay, my next question would be is how is energy audit done, and if you can just elaborate, how does it help an individual on a individual basis? Is one household I'm talking about, or an industrial company, or a small firm? How does energy audit help us?
Okay, here when we speak of the word energy, it does not only cover electricity. Apart from electricity, it also encompasses fuel, compressed air and water. These three things are majorly required in the industrial area and industrial segment. Now, any energy bill always comprises of two legs. One leg is that of usage, how much you use, and the second leg comprises of the rate. Now, suppose you have a leaking tap at home.
Yes.
Irrespective of the size of the overseas tank that you have, if the leakage persists, the overseas head tank is going to go dry sooner or later.
Yes.
What energy audit does is it finds out the lacunas in your usage, where there is overutilization, where there is leakage, and where there is an obsolete technology which you are using that is leading to higher usage. It tells you how to plug it, which are the areas of concern and how to plug it. Also, there is a sub area in energy audit which is called as electrical safety. Now, what happens is generally when we do interiors in house, we generally do interiors maybe every 5 years, every 7 years. Every 5 years or 7 years, our usage of electricity in the house keeps on growing.
Yes.
However, the wiring that you have done once is never replaced. So what you are doing is you are putting more and more load throughout the journey on the existing wiring by adding newer and newer electrical gadgets to it. At some point of time, it is going to overheat your wires, burn the wires, and cause a short
Fire,
circuit,
yes.
which again will result into a fire. So, energy audit covers all these areas, including electrical fire safety, tells you where the precautions need to be taken, why the precautions need to be taken, and how the precautions need to be taken. The other fallout of energy audit is, just like in financial audit, everybody is aware of a financial audit, maybe for its society, maybe for his business, maybe for his company. In financial audit, you look at transactions, whether there is some leakage on account of fraud, misfeasance,
Yes.
etc. Energy audit does the same thing with a particular and focused on your energy utilization.
Great.
Now, what it results into? Number one, it results into optimization of your usage. It reduces your electrical fire risk, thereby giving you electrical safety. And third important thing is, once your usage is optimized and reduced, automatically your requirement for solar also goes down.
Great.
Because generally what solar people do, I'm nobody to criticize their business, but generally what solar people do is they come to you, they tell you, show me your bill and I'll give you matching solar. Without looking at the fact whether your utilization is economical or not, or there are leakages in your utilization which need to be plugged. Because so if you do solar and if then because of overload in your system is there electrical fire,
Yes.
in no way can solar avoid that, but energy audit can help you in avoiding that. That is where it should be a preliminary step for any entity, be it society, be it individual household, be it for an organization. It should be the preliminary step before going for solar.
Okay, so can I conclude that there are lot many houses which are little old, maybe not very modern, and they suddenly install air conditioners today's date because of the heat wave. So, and then we find that yes, they have complaints of having an electrical short circuit or a fire which broke out in certain part of the house, or certain gadgets come in which are very modern and new, but somehow there is a short circuit which is happening, or there is an electrical tripping happening in the wiring.
So honestly, in this case, we suggest that every 10 years, one should try and replace his entire wiring,
Okay.
so that the current wiring, the replaced one, is in tune with your current utilization, number one. Number two, if the wireman suggests you to use 1.5 square mm wire, please go for a 2.0 square mm wire, so that you are providing some additional space for your future usage to go up.
Correct.
Otherwise, for the same usage, if you are putting it, then again later on when your usage increases, you will face the same problem. So it's always better to be proactive than reactive. And that's where these are small tips that one can do. You are putting AC at home, that's fantastic. But then to reduce the load on your electrical system, you can replace your ordinary AC fans with DC fans.
Okay.
It reduces your consumption by 1/3.
Absolutely.
At the same time giving you the same volume of air. So there are ways in which, number one, the load on your existing electrical system and wiring can be reduced, which reduces the chances of overheating and short circuit happening.
Okay. Is
But
it
beyond the
same,
time,
sorry to cut you here, but is it the same with also geysers? When people install geysers, people don't take into account that the bathroom does not have the right kind of electrical fitting and cannot calculate the load.
the best way to do is, in case of electrical geysers, it's always advisable to replace it by Mahanagar gas geysers.
Okay.
Now Mahanagar gas geysers are available, made available by reputed companies also.
Okay.
So once you do it, automatically your consumption goes down, because anything that is artificially heated or artificially cooled is going to consume more and more electricity.
True.
Similarly, in case of ACs, please put your AC temperature on 24 degrees and not less than 24 degrees, because any extra cooling will consume higher and higher energy, leading to higher bill and higher load on your existing wiring system.
Okay. So friends, I think we all need to make a note of this, and it's really helpful and wonderful to know the details, the nitty-gritties about our homes, our offices and our organizations being safe. And
Okay, generally in case of smaller offices or societies, it is considered sufficient to have fire extinguishers. But the problem with fire extinguishers is, fire extinguisher will come into picture only once you notice a fire taking place.
correct.
For you to notice a fire taking place, either somebody has to be present there 24/7, or the fire has to be really big for somebody to have noticed it.
Yes.
So again, in case of fire extinguishers, you are taking a reactive step. There is a fire which has taken place, somebody has noticed the fire, and then he has started using the extinguisher to douse the fire. What fire alarm system does it, at the instant when the fire is taking place and it's small, it intimates you that look, the fire is taking place. So many a times it will end up in dousing the fire when it is at a very small stage only, rather than waiting for it to attain a bigger stage, bigger proportion, and losing lakhs and millions and crores, and more importantly lives.
Yes.
So rather than a reactive step, we generally propose to go for a proactive step, so that ultimately, see, money lost, property lost, machinery lost can be recouped, if not today, then tomorrow, if not tomorrow, then 1 year down the line. But how would you recoup the lives lost?
Yes.
And that is where, as I said in my earlier statement, fire alarm system is a pre-insurance.
Very true. Agreed to it. And so, what are the type of fire alarm systems that one can individually have at an individual home or small firms and offices, also for the large industrial units? If you can just give a brief on those.
Yes. Now, in case of fire alarm systems, it so happens is for an individual household, a fire alarm system is not a very financially viable solution.
Okay.
But if there are a group of individuals or if there is a society,
Yes.
then it definitely is commercially viable.
Okay.
Number one. Number two, there are fire alarm systems which are called as either as conventional or as addressable. A conventional fire alarm system tells you that the fire has taken place, but tells you generally which area in which fire would have taken place.
Okay.
Whereas an addressable fire alarm system tells you in a pinpointed fashion that, look, in flat number 102 in their bedroom a fire has taken place.
Okay.
Whereas a conventional system will tell you the fire has taken place on the first floor.
Okay.
That is the difference. So in case of addressable system, though it is costly, it tells you in a pinpointed fashion where exactly the fire has taken place, so that your effort gets concentrated over there. This is more important in case of offices and in case of industries, because there are multiple people working over there unrelated with each other.
Yes.
And there could be a chaos. Again, it is
Not many
important in
lives
case
involved.
of schools and hospitals.
Hospitals.
Because what happens is, unfortunately in India, there is not much of a stress given on mock drills and making students aware and training them in such
True,
things.
true.
So if unfortunately a fire takes place in a school,
Yes.
the kids will run helter-skelter without knowing exactly what to do. So an addressable fire alarm system along with sounder will tell you where exactly the fire has taken place, so your people can tell the kids to move from some other area.
Yes. A mock
where
drill helps you, trains
mock
you.
drill helps you, and fire alarm system further adds to it by telling you that this area is where the fire is, you can go to other
Avoid
areas
the
and
area.
avoid that area. Exactly. Similar is the case in hospitals. Almost 80% of the patients cannot move on their own.
Yes.
So if you don't take that care, then essentially, number one, losing property, losing lives, and more importantly, losing your brand.
Yes.
Because any loss to brand will not get covered under any insurance policy.
Nobody does it.
Loss of profit may get covered, the machinery may get covered. But the bad name that you get. Do you remember Upahar tragedy that struck in Delhi in
Yes.
1997, 98?
Yes. Yes.
When people were actually watching the border movie, a fire took place in Upahar tragedy. The Upahar owners, Ansal brothers, Gopal and I think Sunil Ansal, they are still in the jail.
Yes.
Because about 50 odd people had lost their lives.
It was
And
very tragic.
it was tragic. And that is where the importance of fire alarm system gets underlined, because you know in the nick of the time that, look, there is a danger, you need to be quitting this place.
Correct. Very true. I
Now,
worked
coming
for
to
the hotel
industry-
industry, so we had to do fire drills, which was a must. So we knew how to execute the apparatus, like these fire alarm systems or running with the pipe, and all those was trained. And we had to do a certain amount of sessions, and that's when we would have okay by the HR, okay, this person has attended so much, and then we could move forward. And you had to know all the exit doors.
Yes. Now, again, in case of fire alarm system, you had asked me about industry and all.
Absolutely.
No, there are two globally recognized certifications. One is called as UL, Underwriters Laboratory, which is a US certification.
Okay.
Other is called as EN, which is certification for Europe.
Okay.
Generally, UL certification based products are more useful in commercial areas where they do not get exposed to a high level of heat or high level of vibrations, etc.
Okay.
EN certification or approved products are more tuned towards industry, where there is always a possibility on shop floor having high dust, high dirt, fumes coming, etc.
Heavy
plus
machinery.
high temperatures and all.
Okay.
EN are more suitable for that.
Okay.
So if you are going for an industry, you should try and look for a EN certified product. In case of a commercial segment, it could be township, it could be hotel, it could be hospital. One can look at going for UL certification product.
Also for the large societies today's day,
Absolutely.
the modern buildings which have.
Yes.
Okay. So these are really vital and important, and most people aren't aware of. In fact, a couple of years ago, there was also a fire which had broken up in my sister's society, and it was Diwali night. And till then, they did not have this fire mock drill, but now they have enforced it in their society. So each child gets to know, each person who comes to stay gets to know how to operate and how to move out for safety.
See, unfortunately, what happens is in India, we are more tuned to buying something which is lowest cost. Now, if your life is so precious, why would you want to settle with a life-saving device only on the basis of the cheapest product?
Absolutely.
Why don't you look at a product which is certified, number one, and number two, why don't you look at a product which is certified and whose certificate is live?
Absolutely.
Do you ever consume medicines, allopathic medicines or any medicine beyond its expiry date?
No.
If you don't, which is only for your life, then why do you settle with something which is ultra cheap, which does not have certification or whose certification is not live? Why do you entrust your lives with that?
Okay, this is something that I learned today. These are also available in market.
Yes, each and everything is available. You only need to question the company providing fire alarm system, that number one, is your fire alarm system approved under any certification, and number two, any certification since means EN or UL, and is your certification live,
Okay.
current?
Very vital question. Very
Yes.
vital question. I think even the insurance company will pay if these are there.
Absolutely, it has to be that way only, because if tomorrow you consume a medicine which is beyond its expiry date and then go to your doctor saying that, hey, you had prescribed this medicine,
It will
I
not
took
work.
it, will the doctor kind of entertain you? He will not. Why would he?
True. Okay. So that was very kind of you to give us such detailed information. And now I'd like to know is how do we select the alert system, the fire alert system?
In today's scenario, almost everybody uses mobile.
Yes.
Again, in metro cities like maybe Mumbai, Pune, you name it, and almost everywhere, daily, the parents are out of their home.
Correct.
They're office-going parents.
Yes.
So they are entrusting the responsibility of their kids or their elder ones with the society.
True.
Now, there are fire alarm systems available which can automatically send out an SMS in case of a fire peril.
Wow.
Automatically, they shoot out an SMS. Obviously, your email ID and your mobile number needs to be registered in that particular system. But if registered and tomorrow there is a fire, an automated SMS will go to the parents or whosoever's number is mentioned over there that look, in society number A, in wing number B, in flat number C, there is a small fire which has taken place. Fire alarm system has detected it. So there is no chaos. One knows for sure that I stay in society C, whereas the fire has taken place in society A. I don't need to be worried about it. And there are people in society A who are taking care of it. These kind of things are available today. Yes, nothing comes cheap in life. We need to be prepared to spend for that. Because if you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. That's an old adage.
Absolutely.
And that's what happens if you take something which is ultra cheap. Now, the mindset needs to change from just ticking a checkbox to seriously looking at the safety aspect. Because for fire NOC, the builder will do something which just passes the muster. But is that passing of the muster sufficient to protect you? One needs to take a call. Look, builder has his own business. I have nothing against builders, but he has his own business. He has to strive for profitability, whereas you have to strive to ensure that your near and dear ones and loved ones are safe.
Yes, life is more important. So that was again very interesting and very informative, I should say. Also, I would want to know is why should everyone go for an no energy audit, and in what duration of time should the second audit or the next audit happen? What is the time frame or the time gap where energy audits could be done?
Okay, I'll share a live example with you as to how the energy audit helps. At Thane,
Yes.
at Manpada, there is a Dosti complex,
Yes.
which is right on Ghodbandar Road.
Correct.
One of their societies had approached us saying that their electricity bill is too high. And for them, that time the requirement based on their plain and pure electricity bill was 75 kilowatt.
Okay.
So once we started undertaking the energy audit and did the study, we found that the water pressure, and mind well, this is a 26-storied building. Water pressure in their sink and their basin was very high.
Okay.
Now, what used to happen is once you open the tap of sink or basin, a lot of water used to flow away. Because of the height of the building and overground tank on the terrace, the pressure due to gravity was very high for the water.
Okay.
What we did was, number one, we reduced their water pressure, made it more uniform, more palatable. That reduced their day-to-day usage of water, directly resulting into water bill saving, number one. Number two, since they needed lesser and lesser water on a daily basis, the effort to pump the water from the basement to 26th floor went down, thereby reducing their electricity bill. And again, because the pump used to run for lesser number of hours, they needed lesser downtime or repair and maintenance for that pump. These three, that is water, direct saving in water cost, number two, direct saving in electricity cost due to lesser running of pump, and thirdly, repair maintenance cost reduction in case of pumps is a direct operational cost saving.
Absolutely.
Now, the fantastic part comes next. Because of this reduction in the electricity bill, their requirement for solar went down from 75 kilowatt to 60 kilowatt.
That was quite huge.
Yes. Now, in today's commercial scenario, a reduction in controlling their water usage. And that is why we prefer that any society, any industry which wants to put up a solar plant should first look at and explore the opportunity of energy audit to rationalize their usage. Once the usage is rationalized, automatically your requirement will go down, and then the matching solar will go down.
Correct.
Ultimately, what is essential? In the totality of the things, the basic cost impact should be the same. In 99% of the cases, a combined impact of energy audit study cost plus energy audit implementation cost plus solar, revised solar cost is equal or lesser than only standalone solar.
Absolutely.
So you get both the advantages. Number one, optimization. Number two, electrical safety. And number three, reduce solar.
True.
And all in almost the same amount.
It's much more than a trickle down effect.
Absolutely, it helps.
Yes. And also I would want to know is the solutions for having the solar rooftop. What is it about? And if you can give us a little brief on this rooftop solar panels availability, and why they should be installed on the rooftop.
Okay. In case of rooftop solar panels, it's a good beginning by almost each and every central government to promote solar, which I must admit. Over the period, just like what has happened in the electronic industry, the capacities of solar panels have kept on evolving. From initial 330 watts, now it has come to almost close to 550 to 600 watts per panel. In case of solar rooftop, there is a one constraint, and that constraint could be, especially in metros, the propensity is towards a high-rise building. When a high-rise building comes, automatically it means that you will have pump, you will have elevator, which are major guzzlers of electricity. There your rooftop may not be sufficient on its own.
Correct.
To support the entire consumption of your lift and your pump. And that is where again energy audit can help you.
Sure.
Now there is other thing, I believe it was made mandatory by Thane Municipal Corporation and Kalyan Dombivli Municipal Corporation, that any new upcoming building should have solar water heaters. The problem with solar water heaters is for residential purpose. For industrial purposes, it's a fantastic product.
Yes.
For residential purposes, what happens with solar water heaters is it gives you scalding hot water in summer when you don't need it.
Free of cost.
Free of cost, but when you don't need it. So essentially, you are being given a facility which is useless because you don't need hot water in October and in May. Rather than solar hot water system for residential complex, you should actually convert it to solar PV or rooftop system.
Okay.
Then what you can do is then any extra electricity that you generate can be used to provide a hot water. See, ultimately when you provide a hot water system, the household's direct consumption on electricity goes down.
Yes.
When you provide solar rooftop, his common area expenses go down. That way your share of the common area expenses also goes down. So it is better to have solar PV or rooftop in place rather than having a solar thermal. Solar thermal is always better for industry, those who want to run boilers, those who want to run industrial canteens. We have provided this for industrial canteens where the cleaning of utensils, etc., and cooking requires laundry. It requires.
Yes.
But that is where they require it 24/7 in all the
Large
seasons.
areas.
Yes, in all the seasons. Whereas in case of residential, it's almost useless in rainy season and winter.
Also, large kitchens use them.
Yes, large kitchens can kind of reduce their other fuel consumption.
True. So that was again very, very informative. Most of the people do not understand how it is and how one could have benefit out of these. Also, I'd like to further ask is the solar thermal. What is this word solar thermal? This is very new to me.
Okay, solar thermal is a broad category.
Okay.
The one which we easily can identify with is solar hot water system. But apart from solar hot water system, there is a subcategory in solar thermal which is called as a steam generator.
Okay.
Now, essentially in the industry or maybe for laundry, hotel, etc., there are areas where you need to fire boilers, where you need steam generation. In case of laundry, you need. In case of hotels, maybe for cooking, you need. In case of hospitals, for sterilization, you need.
Yes.
There are some separate products called as steam generators, which operate on solar. During daytime only they will function and operate, but at least during daytime you can reduce your consumption of other fuel. Ultimately, what is the objective? It actually serves two objectives. One objective is direct objective, which reduces your cost. Other objective is automatically your reliance on degradable and polluting fuels goes down. Ultimately, what you are doing is आप स्वार्थ भी कर रही हो, खर्चा बचा के परमार्थ भी कर रही हो, एनर्जी ग्रीन रख के.
So it is like a service that we do back to the community. Good, wonderful to know this. Sadanand ji, the next question would be is how does industrial LED light work? Is it different from the residential LED light?
In some forms, yes, a residential LED light will be different from industrial LED light for the simple reason. In case of residential houses, generally whatever illumination we use, whatever lights we use, are used from 4 to 6 hours a day, not more than that. Now, for that particular purpose, the LEDs that are used and the housing that is used is different.
Okay.
Whereas in case of an industrial fixture, the fixture needs to be geared up to run 24/7. That requires different kind of workmanship, different kind of components and different kind of design.
Okay.
Now, we have live examples where we have worked with some multinationals which are chemical companies, and we have given them such lights which have run for almost 6 to 7 years without a break on 24/7 basis. So that is what is required, because ultimately the biggest problem with the LEDs is the diminution of LEDs.
Which often is noticeable
Yes.
after a couple of months.
Yes. Now, all said and done, LED also is a machine. The machine is going to depreciate. But you can, though you cannot make the depreciation zero, you can control the rate of depreciation if done intelligently. And that is what we specialize in.
Okay. There is another word which comes as retrofit. What is retrofit, and what are the cases with this?
Okay. Retrofit is a word generally used when you do not change the outward appearance of something, but inwardly you change the trigger. So what I mean is, suppose you have taken, let's take a case of banquet hall.
Okay.
There is a banquet hall at Thane, Louis Wadi, called as Shehnai Hall. Now, in case of Shehnai Hall, which is a live case, and there are clients. In case of Shehnai Hall, what they had done was, it's being a banquet, and today people being more aware and interested in selfies and all.
Correct.
You need a lot of illumination.
Yes.
Initially in 2017, they had taken out their old 15-watt panels, and we had retrofitted them. Now, retrofitting means we are keeping outward appearance of the same earlier LED light, but internally we are improving their wattage. That time we had improved that wattage to 24 watts.
Wow.
Now they have come back to us after use of those lights for 7 years, and they want it to be re-upgraded or re-retrofitted.
Okay.
Now we are again, because of advent in the LED technology, now we are providing them with a 30-watt solution.
Wow.
Now just imagine where it helps. A person who has an interior with some kind of a false ceiling, if he has to replace a 15-watt light by a 30-watt light,
Yes.
ready-made one,
Yes.
it will involve a bigger cutout size. A bigger cutout size would mean labor, would mean downtime, would mean loss of business. When you do retrofit, you do not need to change any cutout, anything. Outwardly, the fitting remains the same. Inwardly, you change the LEDs, you use different techniques to generate 30-watt output from a 15-watt fitting. And so essentially, your banquet hall is well lit, better than probably anything else for such a smaller cutout size. You do not have a downtime, you do not have interior work, so you do not have to spend on civil.
Absolutely.
So all these things come for a person who wants to get these things retrofitted. Now there are certain limitations in retrofit also, which we need to understand. A retrofit can become successful or commercially viable, more than successful, commercially viable, if there is a minimum quantum. You cannot or should not go for retrofitting 1 or 2 fixtures, because the designing effort required to design a retrofit will remain the same irrespective of whether it is one fitting or whether there are 100 fittings of the same type.
Okay.
So that designing cost essentially forms a major part. In fact, all those who could have some engineering background and product design background will agree to this, that at design stage, more than 70% of the product cost gets frozen at design stage itself. So what happens is, if the number of fixtures to be retrofitted are less, but the designing effort remains the same, it will not be commercially viable.
Absolutely.
But if
I
you
get
have,
that point.
yes, but if you have a basic quantum of fixtures and all which need to be retrofitted, yes, it's a very viable option which runs for long years altogether without any sizable downtime, and that's what we promise.
Okay.
Our fixtures, earlier fixtures with Shehnai Hall, have again run for more than 7 years. In fact, the interesting story was, the Shehnai Hall Connect was referred to us by one of my friends who was classmate of the Shehnai Hall owner.
Okay.
This was in 2017. In 2025, Shehnai Hall had a old school boys gathering. There this owner went and caught hold of that friend of mine. अरे तूने last time वो number दिया था ना, उसको वापस बुला ले, काम करने का है.
I'm sure he must have benefited huge.
Absolutely.
So this is not only pertaining to banquet hall. This could be also applicable to garden lights and the public
Yes,
areas.
it can be. It can be, depending on case to case basis, for the simple reason. You see, essentially when you provide altogether a new light, you have all the freedom to design the architecture. When you do retrofitting, your at least one freedom is taken away, that is the basic hardware architecture is frozen, and within that architecture you have to do something.
Make difference.
So one degree of freedom is lost. So there are limitations. So one has to look at case by case basis, and then he can suggest whether retrofit should be done or otherwise.
I think that is where your expertise comes into
Absolutely.
picture.
That's where we can help people.
Yes, your expertise would help to gain more in that same fitting and the same thing. Wow.
See, tell me something. Who would not like getting something for free?
Yeah,
Anybody and everybody.
most would.
Yes. So if there is a possibility of getting something at a nominal cost, we are a commercial organization. We are not an NGO to do it for free. But as a commercial organization, if I am giving you a proposition where your IRR can be upwards of 30% year on year, it certainly should be a lucrative proposition for you.
Right. True.
And you see, basically what we as a business try to do. As a business, we try to focus on energy cost to protect your profit and to improve your profit.
Talking to you, I understand now much more about this energy audit, and it is a vast subject. But looking into your expertise and your field and your arena, what are the other things that individually homes or where your proficiency can be applied?
Okay, there are two areas. One mainly for residential purpose, other for commercial areas mainly, where we can help over and above what we do. In case of residential places, many a times people have aquariums at home.
Correct.
Now there are some people who are, fond of fish, fond of having a great aquarium where everything looks very bright, good,
Yeah,
and
it's related
attractive.
to. It's also related to the vastu and feng shui.
Okay, fine. So we provide aquarium lights also in full spectrum, because aquariums come with different things. It could be clean water, brackish water, sea water, or it could be planted, non-planted. Now there are different kind of fish. Generally, what a layman who acquires and keeps an aquarium does is he just goes to market, buys two tube lights and puts the tube lights. Now these tube lights are not exactly in the nanometer range, which can help the plants grow on their own and make your aquarium and the fish with vivid colors and all.
True.
We can provide full spectrum lights or specialty nanometer wavelength lights for the purpose of aquarium. The second thing where it can help is today the professional aquarium owners generally buy these aquarium lights either on Alibaba or AliExpress.
Okay.
Now there are two downsides to it, apart from its being from China. The other two downsides to it is, number one, they're pretty costly. And number two, if suppose for some reason the light conks off or the driver conks off, they do not have an option but to throw that light away. Now we as an Indian manufacturer can help them over there, where my lights would have a driver which is replaceable. So you don't need to throw away your entire investment. Obviously a part of that will come to us by way of replacement of driver beyond warranty period. But still you can save a lot over there. That's number one that I can do for residential. And other thing that I said for commercial and all, we have a tie-up with a Japanese company.
Okay.
What that Japanese company does is they provide a chemical which acts as a thermal barrier.
Okay.
A thermal barrier is the one which does not allow energy or heat to escape. When I say heat, cold is a negative heat.
Absolutely.
So in case you have AC offices, you can have your office walls coated by that specialty chemical, which will ensure that the cooling stays for longer and you need to run AC for a lesser period of time.
True.
Today we are doing that work for 6 lakh square feet in World Trade Center, Cuff Parade.
Wow.
Now that is the kind of thing. See, ultimately there are many ways in which the energy footprint can be reduced. Solar is not the only option. There are various options.
Yes.
And these particular options can reduce your energy cost, ultimately resulting into your reduced energy usage and reduced solar requirement. There are so many technologies available and so many technologies still evolving.
Plugging this little nits grids can be a large saving.
Absolutely. And all these are drops in an ocean, but yes, when the drops come together, they form an ocean.
True. So here I'd like to ask is how would you like to conclude as how people should use it more, how often, and what are the best ways to have something from your field applicable to individual lives to enhance and make easy on the pocket?
In case of individual lives, please ensure that your society where you reside or your near and dear ones reside or the offices and the businesses where you work are fire compliant. That is the first thing that you do, because ultimately jaan hai to jahan hai.
बहुत सही.
So that is something that should be a takeaway, that yes, security costs, but if you feel your life is more precious than the cost, then do go for it. Now, when you fall ill, when you need to be hospitalized, do you always go for a hospital which is L1?
No.
Or you go to a hospital which you are sure will give you good service and take care of your health?
Absolutely.
If you are so conscious about choosing an hospital when you fall ill in day-to-day life, why are you not so conscious about your safety?
Yes. Something to learn and ponder and apply. So friends, today we have had with us Mr. CMA Sahasrabudhe giving us in-depth information about how solar energy, fire hazards, and how we can save ourselves from these little expenses that we think are expenses but actually are life-saving. In many ways, it can help us to also curtail our leakages of finance flows through his audit. So I would sincerely and surely suggest people to get across to him to get their house audited. The energy audit is something which should be a must for most of the people. Not only home, your offices, your industries, or people whom you know do recommend him. And talking about his vast knowledge, I am amazed. So thank you, Mr. Sahasrabudhe, for being with us.
Thank you, Chaitanya.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time and thanks for the opportunity given to share my views candidly on IBP News. It has been a memorable experience for me also. Thank you. And I hope people who watch this do ponder on it, as Chaitanya rightly said, and benefit out of it.